I mean, if you're a non-Jew who supports Zionism, if you're a non-Jew Zionist, then my question would be, why do you hate Jews so much? Or why do you support the hatred of Jews? Why do you promote the hatred of Jews? Why don't you work against the hatred of Jews? Because there's nothing more anti-Semitic, there's nothing more anti-Jew than Zionism, especially among non-Jews. Because the whole basis of Zionism is the idea that Jews aren't safe in any country in the world, and therefore they need a Jewish homeland. They need a Jewish state, because that's the only place that they can be safe from you. So if you say that you support Jews having a homeland, you are implicitly saying Jews aren't safe with you. Jews aren't safe in your country. That's implicitly what you're saying. Your support for Jews, or your love for Jews, is not love for Jews, it's love for Jews to be elsewhere. You're saying implicitly, when you say that you support the state of Israel, and you support the Jews having a Jewish homeland, and you declare your support for Zionism, you're declaring your hatred for Jews. You're declaring that, yes, Jews are not safe in my country. Jews are not safe from me and my friends and my community and the citizenry of my country. Because that's why they need to be elsewhere, because we can't be trusted. So either you should be offended by the fundamental claim of Zionism. You should be offended by that. And if you're not offended by it, then it's because it's true and the Jews are not safe with you. Because if you had any, if you were a decent human being who didn't hate Jewish people, then the claim that the Jews can't be safe in your country would be offensive to you. And that the Jews aren't safe anywhere in the world would be offensive to you, because it's an insult. It's an insult to your whole society to say that the Jews can't be safe with you and therefore they need to be somewhere else. But you see, the thing is, like I've said before, it's true. You do hate Jews. The West has always hated Jews. Jews have never been safe in the West. And after the Holocaust, after the anti-Jewish sentiment across Europe that's been going on for centuries, after that reached a crescendo with the Holocaust, you just figured out another way, a more sophisticated way to make life miserable for the Jews. You figured out another way to keep the Jews in danger and insecurity. And you figured out a way, this is remarkable, you figured out a way to make the only people in history who didn't hate and persecute them, hate them. Because the Muslims never hated the Jews. The Muslims didn't persecute the Jews. The Jews were safe with the Muslims. But you found a way to make endless animosity, unending animosity between the Muslims and the Jews, between the Arabs and the Jews, by turning what should have been immigration into colonization. Because the Jews were always safe and free to emigrate to Palestine. And they did. Where do you think they went when you kicked them out of Spain? They went to the Ottoman Empire. Many of them went to Palestine. And they were welcomed there and they were safe there. The only people that were ever kind to them, the only people that were ever benevolent to them, the only people that didn't persecute them and hate them for being Jews was the Muslims. You hated Jews for what they are. You hated Jews for being Jews. But you made them do things by turning immigration, what should have been immigration, you turned it into colonization. And so we started to hate them because of what they did. We started to hate them for what they do. The Muslims started to hate them because of their actions. You hated them always for what they are, for their being, for their belief, for their religion. We didn't. We never did. We always had respect for them. So you just found a way to make your anti-Jewish hatred more sophisticated, and you found a way to put the Jews into endless problems by sending them to Palestine as colonizers instead of as immigrants. Sending them to Palestine with the dream of taking over Palestine by violence, which is how they took it over, by violence and massacre of women and children. Deir Yassin, for example. They took it over by terrorism. They took it over by thuggery. And that was with your backing, because you wanted to make a problem for the Jews. You wanted to make a problem for them, and then a problem for us. And you wanted to destroy the only friend that they ever had in this world, which was the Muslims. And even now, with everything that's been going on and everything that's been going on for the last 70 years, even now, who's the one who's actually suing for a ceasefire? Who's the one that's actually trying to pursue peace and who's reacting to this conflict right now with diplomacy and not with aggression? It's the Muslims. And who is vetoing the calls for a ceasefire? You people. Because you hate Jews. You want them to be in a problem. You want them to be insecure. You want them to be in danger. You want them to be in conflict. You don't want them to be friends with the only friends that they ever had. You want them to be enemies. You don't want there to be anywhere safe for the Jews. And like I said, when you say that you support Zionism, you are implicitly saying that the Jews are never going to be safe in your country. The Jews are never going to be safe in your society. And then the only place that they ever were safe was in the Muslim world, and you have arranged it in such a way, you engineered it in such a way that they can't even be safe there now because of the way they came and the way they've behaved with your backing. If they hadn't had your backing and they hadn't been instigated by you with this sick ideology of Zionism, they could have come to Palestine and just been neighbors. They could have come to Palestine and just become Jewish Palestinians. In Palestine, Jewish immigrants were always welcome, but colonizers were not welcome. And you decided that they should be colonizers just to create more problems and to create problems for the Jews in the only part of the world where they never had problems. So Zionism is just the perfection of anti-Semitism. It's the refinement of anti-Semitism. It's the pinnacle of anti-Jewish hatred.